Dude, we're only gonna do first tries here.
What, really?
Yeah.
Alright.
I mean, we're gonna keep it raw. Alright. I'm Nate Runels, and dude, I don't even know how to answer that question. Jared?
Okay. My name's Jared Davison. I've been attending this church for, 7 years? 6 years? Something like that. And I've been placed into the head greeter leader of our first service on Sunday and on Wednesday night service as well. A lot of you have seen me, know my name, but yeah.
I'm Nate Runels, and I'm the missions and outreach pastor here at Calvary Chapel currently. And I'm an evangelist, street preacher, teacher, and whatever else.
To Ukraine, there's Calvary Chapel over there we're going to be meeting with the first week, doing like evangelism training. They want us to share our testimonies, etc. Maybe we can get a few of them to go out evangelizing with us. And now the week after that in Ukraine, we're going to, Lord willing, be going to one of the border towns on the eastern edge of Ukraine, which is Ukraine and Russia, so right where the action stuff is happening. And in Sicily, we'll be meeting up with, then we'll be going to Sicily after that, and we'll be meeting up with a lady by the name of Angela Cummings. We support her as a church, if you didn't know. We preaching with her there. Also be there on my birthday, so that's kind of really cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
We'll be there about 5 days. No, 8 days. 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then we're going to Tunisia after that, and then London. The reason why we're going is I've been wanting to visit missionaries for a while that I know of, but I've also been wanting to go preach the gospel in different regions in the world. And so in last December, we had this opportunity. I was invited by Angela, also invited by the Calvary Chapel in Ukraine, to go with them. And so first started with Ukraine, and then it developed joining Angela, and then the opportunity came up in Tunisia, and then I was invited by a Facebook friend to go to London. And so it all kind of like came together.
Yeah.
And asked Jared if he wants to go, and he was like, yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
It's about all the involvement I had in that process.
Yeah. So, yep.
Very cool. Very nice.
How have you guys prepared for this trip?
How we prepared? Did we prepare?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
We've prepared both spiritually and like just physically, like in the terms of like getting like backpacks for the trip. So this is the first time, at least I've done, like been out abroad, so I had to get a lot of things. And
we went on that little hiking trip too.
that was terrible, and you know it. I don't know.
How did that go? How did that trip go?
So it's like January, was it?
Yeah.
It was January. We go up to this mountain up in Fraser Park, or past Fraser Park. Yeah, up in Fraser Park, and the weather has not been good all week. We go up there. He's like, "Let's go on a overnight hike to pray and something." And so we go there. We hike for about a couple hours. Then we just hop off the trail. It's not an actual campsite or anything. Set up a.
It was like dark too.
It was like almost dark, almost completely dark at this point, and oh my gosh, he built a lean-to out of sticks and a fire. It took a long time to get that fire going. It wasn't big. It wasn't warm. And then
it was warm for me.
Yeah.
I was right next to it.
Yeah. Until the rain put it out. Yeah. Did I mention it started to rain? Right
It
around
wasn't
the-
just raining, it was snowy.
It was snowing, and it was raining. It rained all night.
How cold did he get?
Like very cold.
I had my 0-degree sleeping bag, so I was pretty warm.
Yeah, except
How
for your
long
feet.
ago was
This was in January this year.
Yeah. Yeah, we were pretty much sleeping in the snow almost.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it got really cold.
and it was raining, and then every time we would move, like the thing we were in, like it shifted downwards, so the thing
He was,
that was
like,
actually
rolling up.
waterproof. So the thing that was waterproof was actually shifting down the hill because we had to sleep on like a very slight angle.
Yeah.
And so we were actually getting under the rain and out from under the lean-to, and that was just bad. And woke up, you think like fingers so cold you can't even undo the knots of the lean-to because you put a tarp over the lean-to as well.
Yeah.
It was just
It was a good training experience.
no.
So was that like the worst time you've ever slept in your life?
No.
It wasn't.
There's
It wasn't that bad then.
not as bad as sometimes I've been.
Yeah.
But it was bad.
Yeah. It was good.
It was bad.
It was good.
It was bad.
Why are we going? We are going because we want to preach the gospel and we want to lead people to Christ. We want to go into areas that people don't know about the Lord, and not just preach the gospel and leave, but preach the gospel and make connections that we can in the future follow up with.
There you go.
So we definitely already have connections in the areas that we're going to. The people in each country, we have at least one contact, and so either they can follow up, or we're able to come back in the future at some point and follow up as well. So we want to tell people about Jesus. That's why we're going.
Initially, never been much of a dreamer, so I've always been more of a follower type of person. It's a lot easier for me to like follow along with somebody else's, I guess, dream and walk alongside it. But this also ties into the how I prepared thing. Have I prepared for this? It's like I need in my life. I realized that this trip needs to be not just me following Nate, but to learn to grow and be a part of like what God wants me to be doing, and so like a month ago in like May, I asked the Lord to really start changing my heart beforehand and start preparing me and just removing a lot of the junk that's in my life right now, and he really has grown me exponentially in a manner that I did not expect. I did not expect to grow this much, and I knew I kind of needed to because when I was in Bible college, one of the teachers there, he said that what you do in missions, like the way missions works is what you're doing over here is what you're going to be doing over there. Like long term, short term, it's just the way it's going to be. And I was really thinking about that. I was really convicted by that because I know in my life it really hasn't been the best. And the Lord really has changed my heart towards it, and now I want to go. Just like I still don't know what I'm doing over there, like myself personally. I'm going to be, and how the Lord will be using my gifts and what He's gifted me in over there. But my eyes are upon Him, I suppose. My eyes are upon the Lord, and just waiting, seeing, and trusting that He will teach me in that moment that I'll know what to do. So
Ukraine. So Ukraine was a part of Russia, under their rule for a while, a few years back, and then
as in hundreds
now
of years
they're now they're not. So they have been for a long time, but now they're not. And so there's a conflict going on there in Ukraine. There's a good amount of people that are Christians there, but there's like over 25 plus unreached people groups that have never heard the gospel. So there are also a large majority that have never heard about Jesus. So Ukraine is definitely a place that we can go to and know that we're going to contact people that need Christ.
Yeah, but as far as like church demographic goes, there's a lot of Eastern Orthodox, a lot of Catholics, a small minority of Muslims, and Protestants falling in between the number of Catholics and Muslims.
What was the percentage? You remember?
I don't remember the percentage of the Protestants, but for the Eastern Orthodox and Catholics are the majority. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay. So one of the areas we want to go to is the border on the eastern area. If the Lord opens up that door for us to go there, and it's definitely still a war zone. So there's still a lot of chaos going on there. So one of the challenges is finding a translator that would be willing to go with us in that area. So we're gonna have a translator at the church. The pastor there, Pastor Rob, he's been in the U.S. for a number of years before he moved back there, and so he can speak English and Ukrainian, and maybe a few other languages. But for us to go to the border area is going to be a challenge if we're able to find a translator.
Yeah.
So that's one of the challenges, but just praying the Lord will provide that. So, yeah.
Yeah, the predominant languages are Ukrainian and Russian.
Yeah. The translator app allows us to, communicate. We can probably communicate the gospel through the app to someone. Also, the driver that's going to pick us up at the airport, he doesn't speak any English, so we're going to use that to help him. But he's from the church, so he's going to come pick us up. There's a few tools that we have that we can use, but for us to learn Ukrainian and then go and learn Arabic, and then whatever all the other dialects will be a little bit difficult. So so we're just praying that the Lord will provide a translator after we're at the church. The church we're gonna have a translator, but it's later on that. So we're gonna be in Ukraine from July 19th is when we're gonna arrive, and then we're gonna be flying to Sicily August 3rd. So that's like about 2 weeks or so. Yeah. So we're gonna try to reach the locals up near the church area. There's some people that call up on Sunday, and they're in the congregation. They hold up the phone so they can hear the pastor preach. So one of the opportunities we might have is to maybe start a home Bible study in those towns where maybe an hour away that they don't have a church or a Bible teaching Bible study. So that's one opportunity we're looking into, but we're definitely going to help train an evangelist team there, and then we're going to go out and hit the streets near the church and try to reach the community there. And then the third option is going to the eastern border, which is where it's like about 2 hours away or so from the church, and maybe a little bit longer. And that's where the war zone is, and the people that really need the gospel. There's I think there's 7 or 8 unreached people groups all along the eastern border that are listed there from our research we've done. So, worst case scenario is we have opportunity to teach at the church there and evangelize in the outer area, and maybe go start a home Bible study somewhere, and not go to the eastern border. Best case scenario is we're allowed to go to the eastern border, and we're able to preach, open air preach, street preach, talk to people, so that for Ukraine that would be the best and worst case scenario.
It's like one of the top tourist destinations in the world. A lot of people go there. It's like an absolutely beautiful place to go. Pretty much all times of the year. It's an island in the Mediterranean, directly south of Italy, and I haven't actually researched too much about the demographic there, but there's a lot of tourists. I know that.
Yeah, and Angela Cummings, who we're meeting in Sicily, she travels around the world and she preaches all over Europe. She's been to Asia. She's been to the Middle East, and so she goes to places where there's locals that she preaches to, but she also goes to places where there's tourists. And so this kind of worked out for our schedule for us to go and join her for evangelism and preaching. And she's an open air preacher, and so we're going to join her preaching to a lot of tourists in the area. And so because it's a very high populated tourist area in Italy, it's a great opportunity for us to preach to people from all different nations in the same spot. So, worst case scenario in Sicily, we preach, and that's all we have opportunity to do.
Bye.
What's up, Squeak? Love you, bro.
Alright, let's go again. What's the worst case scenario and the best case scenario?
Worst case scenario is we get there and we just do one-on-one evangelism. Best case scenario, we get there and we find some good places to open and preach.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tunisia. All right, Jerry, what do you know about Tunisia?
What I know is 99% Muslim, and like 99.8% Muslim and 0.2% Christian, 0.2% Jewish. That's the way it works. I was Arab, like 98%, so that's a lot of people. There's about 25,000 Christians in Tunisia. That's including everybody, Jehovah's Witnesses too, if they're there. I don't even know if they're there.
Yeah, Catholics, Jehovah's Witnesses,
Catholics, everybody.
Mormons, Seventh-day Adventists, anything.
Anything and everything. It's all under that banner, but
Orthodox.
And there's like 500 Jews, which is interesting.
Out of like 11 point something million people.
Yeah, but the thing with Tunisia is, it is illegal to evangelize and proselytize and share your faith with other people in like an open sense, like one-on-one evangelism or open air preaching. They are not. It's a very, what's the word, like more. It's more easygoing, sort of illegal, not.
They're more tolerant for sure.
Yeah, that's a more tolerant place in the Arab countries, but it's looking that that's going to end soon. So this is actually a good time to get over there and do this, because the worst thing that could happen if we get caught like evangelizing or preaching is we get either deported or probably fined and jailed for a while. There's something else. I don't remember.
So you don't think they can possibly kill you if...
There's always that possibility.
I don't think the authorities will, but
Yeah.
the locals, if
The
they're
locals
Muslim, that would be a possibility there. So if they reject the message, but the area that we want to go in Tunisia, we're going to be in downtown, the center area, but we're going to try to go down to the eastern coast also. And that's where there's more unreached people groups. And so we're going to try to contact some of those areas there. And we have one contact right now in downtown Tunisia, and he invited us to his church there. And so we're going to try to be there for a few days and then move from there. To
Tell us geographically where Tunisia's at.
Tunisia is directly south across from Sicily, across the Mediterranean. It's in between Algeria and Libya. And it's Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria.
It's the northern part of Africa, the very top. Yeah. So
it's parked between a rock and a hard place.
a rock and a hard place.
Literally.
That's where it's parked at.
Yeah, the northern reaches of the Sahara, like the finger of Sahara reaches up into it.
Yeah. And I got to ask you this question: what drew you to Tunisia? Because it seems as though you're going to be going to Ukraine, Sicily, into London, but somehow you're being pulled over to Tunisia.
Yeah, I want to go to places that there's no missionaries going to. In Tunisia, the missionaries that I have heard have gone there aren't boldly proclaiming the gospel. And when you see Jesus or Paul or Peter, whenever they're preaching, they're not ashamed of it. And so they're boldly preaching it. And so I definitely want to be used of the Lord to boldly proclaim the gospel. In Tunisia, they haven't had, as it appears, someone boldly proclaiming the gospel for over 1,000 years. That's where some of the church fathers were, Tertullian and a few other people, but that was a long, long time ago. And so, it's just a place that needs the gospel proclaimed. And so I want to, seek the Lord in it and follow Him as He directs us. But I want to have that boldness to go out and proclaim the gospel, even if there is like a fine or a little bit of time in prison, or even if people get mad at you and they try to like physically harm you, like I think it's worth preaching the gospel because the Lord calls us to, and persecution is a good thing in Scripture. Furthers the kingdom all the time. So, you know, that really drew me to it. Was there's no one there preaching the gospel as far as we know of, openly, publicly, and I want to possibly do that. So
you guys going to be open or preaching over there?
if the Lord leads us to open or preach, and there's a group, maybe we can preach for 20 minutes. I don't think we're going to be anywhere for more than 2 hours preaching, because that might draw too much attention. But if there's a large crowd and we have a translator, you know, I definitely think we'll be preaching the gospel openly.
All right. What's the worst and best case scenarios?
Worst case scenario is we get there and we do some one-on-one evangelism. What are you trying to do that for? We're not going to get beheaded, bro. Now we're going to have to
What's that
redo
all
that.
about?
I just think we're going to like
A
die.
question for you.
Yeah,
Now, you've got connections in Ukraine, Sicily, and London,
yeah.
but you have no connections in Tunisia.
I have one connection in Tunisia.
A dude he met on for Facebook.
Talk about it. Talk.
Yeah, so I was like looking at people in Tunisia, and I was like, Christians in Tunisia on Facebook. And then I met this one guy, I messaged him, and I said, hey, are there any good local churches? He said, hey, yeah, you can come to mine. So I told him we're only English speaking, and he said that's fine. And so that's our connection, and it's like downtown Tunisia. So that's currently our only connection, but I have a friend also who is connecting me with somebody else who might not be a Christian, but is open to having, hosting us and stuff.
So you're
yeah.
going to be doing a little bit of pioneering here.
Yeah, definitely. So worst case scenario, definitely we're only going to be able to do maybe one-on-one evangelism. Best case scenario is we'll be able to do open air preaching, maybe even go inside a mosque and reach out to some of the leadership there, and then even go down to the East Coast and reach an unreached people group. So we're going to be there for from August 9th till August 23rd. So we'll be there for about 14 days, and yeah, so it's gonna be good. So yeah.
Off camera or off the tape here. Where, or you could answer this.
Yeah.
Where specifically in Tunisia are you going to go? Are you going to be getting close to the Libyan border?
It'll
I
be
know
about
that we're-
halfway down.
Okay.
So in Tunisia, we're not going to go to like all the way to the Libyan border, but we're going to be halfway down in Tunisia. Tunisia is fairly small, and it's right near the Saharan desert. So we're going to be bordering the desert there also. But yeah.
What do you know about London?
Nate got deported.
Oh, yeah,
I
That was
did.
funny.
Okay, so this is a cool story. So I got deported from London like when I was 20. It's like 4 years ago. I was going to join a Calvary Chapel there. Went in there. They wouldn't let me go through because I was in their maximum time on the U.S. passport. So they checked my luggage, found out I got a lot of religious books, and they said I was going to be a religious worker that didn't have a visa, even though I was being paid from the U.S. So that happened. The lady was an atheist that was dealing with me. She was really anti-everything Christian. But I was going to Camden Town in London, and so the way we got connected this time to go to London is a Facebook friend. He's with a group called Evangelists for Christ, and he lives in London, and they go out and they preach and they evangelize. And he found out we were going on a trip, so he invited us to go preach in London. Now, originally, 4 years ago, I was going to go to Camden Town, London. Some of the places we're going to go preach are in Camden Town, London, and they're paying for us to be there and everything. So the Lord just like totally miraculously opened that door. Got a Facebook message from him, and they're paying for us to go, and they want us to preach. They got a few opportunities for us to set up for us to go and evangelize and preach. So it's like that the Lord's totally like redeeming that and like bringing me back to go preach there. And I wasn't a street preacher 4 years ago. Now I am. So it's gonna be awesome. So in London, there are a lot of Muslims. There are a lot of atheists. Christianity is kind of like not so much on the rise. It's kind of like bottoming out. Because the Church of England, like there's a lot of buildings there that are now turned into pubs or turned into theater houses.
Yeah, I can say something on that. The Christianity on London and England is like, it's not so much the death of actual Christianity, it's the death of nominalism. Like people like just going to church because it's the thing to do. There's a growing number of people who are becoming Christian and are serious, like, and they're actually serious about their faith. That's not just, yeah, it's the death of nominalism, not actual death of Christianity.
Yeah,
Christianity is actually growing in England.
It's those people that are just churchgoers. You know, they're kind of like not doing that, and yeah,
because it's not culturally cool to be a Christian in England right now.
So all the traditional accoutrements are
They're slowly being
Sunday
stripped away.
church, all those things that we label as a typical Sunday tradition or church tradition are gone. Or dissolved.
It's not so much that as like the people who are Christians are a lot more serious about it than like they're actively sharing their faith. They're actively living for the Lord. It's still Sundays and stuff like that, but yeah.
And Camden, where we're going in Camden, is like the heart of London, which is like the heart of England, and it's the most worldly part of England. So in Camden Town, that's like the place you want to go. It's like going to like New Orleans or going to like San Francisco. It's like there's very few Christians in the area that we're aware of, and there's a whole lot of worldliness, a whole lot of sin. And so it's definitely the place where the Lord wants to like break those barriers and reach people. So it's gonna be an adventure. We're gonna see what the Lord does. Just keep praying that the Lord would soften their hearts, so that when the word goes, they're not just totally hardened, but they're gonna be able to receive the word.
Worst case, we get deported again.
Worst case, we get deported. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be deported. I'm pretty sure about that. The worst case is we're just do some evangelism, which is like not bad, you know, for us to evangelize and do some open air preaching. Best case scenario is not only are we going to be open air preaching, but also have opportunity to preach inside a few churches, and maybe lead some teams in evangelism, not just us going out with a few people, but also going out with a large group. So best case is going out with a large group and really encouraging the body of believers there, and even, you know, making more contacts that we can even encourage some of them to do more mission stuff and more outreach stuff. So, yeah.
Got a question for you again.
Yeah.
How different are you expecting Christianity and the following of Christianity in each one of these places to differ from how we do it here? And how do you expect yourselves to, I don't want to say come to grips with it, but how do you intend to share the message as we see it versus how typically it might be somewhere else?
I know there's going to be a lot less materialism as far as Christians and how they go. There's going to be a lot less of that because in a lot of their places they're like some of the only Christians in the area, like the ones in Tunisia specifically. Like they're heavily in the midst of a sea of Muslims, and like Ukraine, I'm not entirely sure, but I imagine they've gone through a lot more than what we've ever experienced in America, just due to being in a war-torn country, and experiencing the hardship that comes from that, food shortages, whatever. I think it's going to be a lot less materialistic, a lot less, and a lot more, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think in
They're definitely not going to be weak in their faith, I think.
in all the areas we're going to encounter two things: Christians that are fully devoted, and then the second area are Christians that are just kind of like they're raised that way, so that's what they do. Even in the Middle East, you know, there's going to be Christians that were born that way, they're raised that way, it's their identity, it's their culture. But then there's going to be people that are willing to die for their faith. In Ukraine, you're going to have people that are just kind of churchgoers, kind of sit in their church and listen to a service or a sermon, and then you're going to have other people that want to go out and preach the word. In London, I think the Christians we're joining are already really much focused on preaching the gospel. So we're going to encounter a lot of Christians there that are real devoted to evangelizing. And then in Sicily, we're going to encounter a lot of tourists that might be Christians. And so really challenging them to follow Christ. And a lot of people that I guess that are Christians that travel a lot. In my mind, I think it's clear if you're living for yourself or you're living for the Lord. And so, are you going to be devoting your time, your energy, your money to furthering God's kingdom, or be self-focused? And not all travelers that are Christians are self-focused and stuff, but I think a lot of people that we may encounter may be kind of wrapped up in the world and claim to be Christian but self-focused. Yeah.
What do you sense the Lord is going to do on this trip?
I definitely think the Lord is going to change myself and Jared a lot. I think I'm going to be matured a lot more, and I definitely kind of sense how the Lord is going to really use this as a stepping stool for me to be more into missions and to be more dependent on Him, more led of the Holy Spirit, and less of kind of having my own schedule. It's easy to develop a schedule and stick to it, even as a pastor. But the Lord wants us to be Spirit-led and directed by Him, just like Paul was, even all the disciples. And so just really seeking Him, that the Lord will give me more wisdom in that, and maybe even start some home Bible studies in some of the areas that we can come and follow up with later on. But yeah, I definitely see the Lord is going to change me and Jared a lot, and grow us a lot, and it's going to be all good things, maybe in hard ways, but they're going to be all good things. Yeah.
All right, Jared, what do you sense the Lord is going to do on this trip?
Great things. Like I said before, I'm not sure of the role that He's going to have for me, so definitely seeking Him now about the role that I'm going to have. But I do, like I said, I don't know what I expect Him to do, but I do expect Him to do something. Beyond that, I don't know what to do, but my times are in His hands, it says in the Psalms. So, yeah.
All right, what's your biggest fear if you guys do encounter persecution?
What's your biggest fear, Jared?
I don't know. Come back to me.
All right, my biggest fear is if they cut off my tongue. Because if I get my tongue cut off, then I can't preach anymore. Like, that would be the worst thing ever.
That's why you learn sign language.
Yeah, sign language.
But
But
then they cut off your hands.
other than that, like, I'm totally down for whatever. Like, yeah, I'm willing to, to be persecuted in any and all ways, even if that means I get killed. I don't think that's gonna happen, because I see the Lord already opening up specific doors for me. But
past this trip.
yeah, but definitely, like, if I ever got my tongue cut off, like, that would be like the worst thing. Unless the Lord like totally healed it back, like, that'd be awesome. But like, that would be the worst, is to have a burden to preach and be unable to. So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I guess I can't really. I guess the fear for me would be due to my still seeking the right perspective from the Lord and seeking to grow in the Lord, like, and have Him prepare me for the trip, is that when persecution comes, that I'll like fail or run away or denounce my faith. I think that's one of the greatest fears that I have, and because I know it's when facing persecution, it's a commitment and a decision that's made beforehand that enables you to go through it and be committed to the Lord beforehand. Yeah, I think that's my biggest fear, is to fail in bringing glory to God by saying I don't believe or whatever.
Yeah.
All right. What are your guys' plans when you return from your trip?
No idea.
Well, I plan, after being back for 3 weeks, I'm planning on going to Mission 111 training, which is kind of the first step in full-time missions. And then after that, I'll be back in December. And so Mission 111, I'll be in probably 3 months of training. And then I'll be back in December. And then I'm probably going to plan on doing full-time missions. Wherever that is, there's a few options that are coming up. But definitely going to be sent off by Calvary Chapel and be full-time on the field, preaching the gospel to people that have never heard it. Like, I preach the gospel to people all the time that I've heard before, but I just want to like share with people that have never heard about Jesus. Like, that just is awesome. Like, I've preached to people that I've heard like at least 20 times, and some people I've preached to that haven't heard before here in the States, and they've always been receptive. But it's the people that I've heard 100 times that just kind of have a hard heart. So definitely looking forward to reaching the unreached, reaching the people that have not had a chance yet to hear. So that's kind of my next step, is going into that as, you know, December and then January come about. So, yep. And Jared has no clue what he's doing.
Not at all.
So,
yeah, Lord's only show me as far as the trip. Man, that's it.
yeah.
It's a good place to be.
Yeah.
What do you say to those who might have a desire to do what you're about to do?
Yeah, if you are interested in doing missions, the Lord always provides wherever He's guiding you, and it's just a matter of responding to the call. And so, if the Lord's put that desire in your heart, there's plenty of opportunities out there. I can connect you with people, but you just got to be obedient. You got to be prayerful, seek the Lord in prayer. A lot of times people just want to go on a trip, but the Lord isn't guiding you there. So the best thing to do is to spend a lot of time with the Lord in prayer, and that's one way that I've prepared for this trip, is just a lot of prayer, some fasting, and just praying for Him to open up the doors. And as He opens up the doors, I want to just walk right through them. So, yeah. So if you want to come on a trip like this, just go do it. Like, get a passport and pray for God to provide everything else.